Here is a speech given by Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991, and it's talking about the Moshiach. Now, the Rebbe gave it in 1991. This was right after there were amazing miracles that occurred. Saddam Hussein had shot 39 massive, huge missiles into Israel that brought down huge buildings, apartment buildings with people in it, and no one was hurt. No one was hurt. And the Rebbe prophesied this, and then America destroyed Iraq, and they told Israel not to get involved. That if they would get involved, then the other nations would, the Arab nations wouldn't join America. So Israel basically they didn't have to do anything, and their biggest enemy, they were just trying to kill citizens and everything, that was just destroyed. Then after that, the Iron Curtain fell. The Iron Curtain that had communism is like a tremendous failure wherever it is, and there's different opinions. The minimum, how many people Stalin killed, the minimum is 20 million people. There's some people say 50 million people, but communism is a totally dysfunctional and evil government, and in order to hide their evil, they just kill people, and suddenly it just fell. The whole thing just fell down. A whole government that was resting on the blood and the suffering of millions of people, it just fell down just one day. It was just so very amazing miracles. So this and all this was prophesied by the Rebbe. The Rebbe said years before that the Iron Curtain was going to fall. Nobody believed it, and he said that as far as Saddam Hussein shooting missiles, Israel is the safest place in the world. Which, by the way, just now, Iran shot missiles, which each one was like 10 times as powerful as what Saddam Hussein shot, and they shot at least 10 times as many missiles. I think they shot like 500 missiles every night. There was sirens going, and nothing happened. I mean, there were not nothing. There were people that were killed, but not commensurate to the power of them. There was like 10 people killed. And one person is too many, but not to minimize the tragedy, but on the other hand, we have to maximize the miracle. Okay, well, all these things happened amazingly, but still, the Jewish people are still in exile. Now, that's the idea of Geula. And now, according to Judaism, Mashiach is going to be a person. The world was created for Mashiach. Adam was supposed to have done the job. What's Mashiach going to do? Mashiach is going to make the world a healthy and blessed and meaningful place that will see that every detail of the world is being created by God personally, and everything is a miracle, everything is a gift, and everything has tremendous potential to be used for some godly purpose. And now that godly purpose is revealed through the Torah, what the Torah is. But the idea is this physical world is infinitely higher than all the heavenly worlds that could possibly be. And that's the idea of Mashiach. He's going to be the person that's going to bring about this, like Moses took the Jews out of Egypt. Well, Mashiach is going to take the whole world out of egotism, false egotism. And there'll be true egotism. People will be dynamic. People will be positive. There won't be any addictions anymore. The world can get along without addictions, without murder, without wars. All these things are totally unnecessary for the world's welfare. But this whole thing depends on us. To bring Mashiach sooner depends on us. And that's what the Rebbe said. No, the last times that we are in now, we have to do everything that we can in order to do to fulfill all of our responsibility of each and every person individually to bring the Mashiach actually immediately now. It's a thing that if it happens right now, it's already 1,000 years, 2,000 years late. And again, Mashiach is coming to stress three things. Every human being is essentially good. This idea of everybody is doomed, and if you're going to go to hell, and that's not so. Essentially, every human being essentially is good. And Mashiach is going to just encourage everyone to reveal this good. Number two, this physical world is good, essentially. The goal of life is not to go to heaven. The goal of life is this physical world to reveal the godliness and the holiness in this world, why God is creating it. Number two. And number three, that God is infinitely, infinitely close and caring. God is not far away. We don't have to have anyone in between. He is infinitely close. We have to have someone in between to teach us how close God is. But that's what Moshiach is going to do. So Moshiach is going to reveal how good every human being is, how good the world is, and how good God is. Even since that nowadays is at the end of the month of Nisan that we're in now, is we're in a state where it says Kula Kala Kitzin. All of the times that have been projected, Mashiach is supposed to come, are coming. It says Ketsa Yomim in the book of Daniel. It talks about the end of days and the end of days. And it says the end, this Ketsa Yomim is the end of all bad, basically. And Ketsa Yomim means the end of the beginning of all good, new good. We're here, says the Rebbe, but it's certainly that immediately the Mashiach will come to each person, and each person will point with his finger and say, this is the Mashiach. And the Mashiach has already arrived. And 1 second before that, but Mashiach has to do. Now, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he is the Mashiach. At least he has all the qualifications of Mashiach. Maimonides says what the qualifications are, that he has to be from the tribe of King David, he has to care about every single Jew, etc. So the Rebbe has these qualifications, but on the other hand, the job of Mashiach, the completed job of Mashiach, is to bring the Jews to their senses, to bring the Holy Temple down in the world, and to gather the Jews to Israel. This, the Mashiach, obviously has not yet done. That's the Geula. That's the Geula that we're waiting for. The Yeshlev, where we should explain that this idea of the Geula, of the future redemption, which will be brought by every single Jew, and that every Jew has to bring, is especially stressed. We can learn lessons about it in every detail of life, especially from this coming Shabbat, especially the Torah portion that we're reading in the Shabbat. Now, the Torah is not just a religious book. The Torah is not a book which was written by Moses or by the wise men or by some angel or some spirit. No, the Torah is written by God himself, the creator of the universe, who's creating you right now. God took the Jews out of Egypt. The Jews chose the Jews, took them out of Egypt, gave them 50 days later, brought them to Mount Sinai and gave them the Torah. All of them saw, they all heard God at Mount Sinai. The revelation was too powerful. So after the first two of the 10 commandments, they couldn't get any more, but they knew it was God speaking. And that the whole rest of the Torah that we have in front of us, exactly letter for letter, is the exact same letters that God himself wrote. It does not make any sense. God is putting himself into a real bad situation. If he could write a book, so, maybe it's not so great. Write a book. So what type of a God writes a book? So you can also ask, what type of a God creates the world? The world is more complicated than the Torah is. The world is more complicated. Take any a microbe or whatever is a fish. It's got all these cells and atoms and systems going on over there, respiratory systems and reproductive systems and circulatory systems, all running around in one little fish. That's more complicated than the Torah, at least at first glance. So he's creating all that stuff. God is creating everything. So God gave the Torah, but the Torah is the inside of what God wants. That's the reason why God is creating all these fish and all this world. So that's the Torah. So he says, that's what we're, so if obviously the Torah, the word Torah means teaching. So the Torah is teaching us how to bring about the goal of the world, which is Mashiach. So we can learn from the Torah, this week's Torah portion, and also the next week's Torah portion, which is going to be read on Mincha this coming Shabbat, and also Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot are 6 chapters, Mishnah, 6 chapters of advice given by the great rabbis, who are disparagingly called the Pharisees. So they had the power to raise the dead. They were tremendously holy people. But from the hatred of the non-Jews, the Jews, they call them this negative name, Pharisees. But really, they were great people. And that's the book of Pirkei Avot. Talks about the advice that these wonderful, amazing Jews gave. 6 chapters. Every week we read a different chapter, every Shabbat. and also the time relevant to the month and relevant to the Spirit of Omer, etc. This week's Torah portion is Tazria Matzora. It talks about especially the redemption. Tazria means, right, this week we read a double portion. Tazria and Matzora. Tazria, the name Tazria is a wonderful thing. We're going to see in a moment that the content of the Torah portion is a very bad thing. But the name is very good. The name is, Tazria means a woman when she gives seed and gives birth to a male. That's the first sentence. Giving birth, this is the whole idea of redemption. The Jewish people getting out of Egypt, that's called giving birth. What happens when a woman gives birth? The fetus is there inside of her. That's why it's a bad thing to make abortions. The fetus contains all the potential of a human being, but it's not revealed. When the child is born, then the potential starts to be revealed. That's giving birth. The Jewish people, when they were in Egypt, it was like they were a fetus in the womb of the mother. Their potential was concealed. The whole idea of Moshiach and Geula is the idea of revealing potential. Like a seed being planted in the ground, right? When the seed grows up, that's the potential of that seed is revealed. The potential of this world, like I think it's a scientific fact that human beings only use 1%, 10%, whatever, of their intellect. Only, let's say 10%. I think it's much less. 10% of your intellect. So what could you use 100% of your, even like Einstein used like 15% of his intellect. There were people who were bigger geniuses than Einstein, so they used 16% of their intellect. What is all the rest of the intellect doing? That's only intellect. What about your soul? How much of our soul are we using? What we love, what we feel. Like, maybe 0.0001% of our soul is used for what the soul is supposed to be used for. So Mashiach is just going to activate all this potential which is inside. That's the idea of Tazria, giving seed, giving birth to a male. This hints at a powerful love of God, a powerful redemption which will come, which there won't be any more exile after it. The Jewish people got out of Egypt, but they went into exile again. Right? The first temple was destroyed. The second temple was destroyed. That's what Mashiach is going to do. I know by means of giving birth to a male, this indicates on revealing the soul of the Mashiach, which is inside of every Jew, which this is the highest level from what's called the level of masculine level of godliness. In more detail, a woman, when she gives seed, this refers on the whole service of the Jewish people in the time of exile, that this is called planting. You take a seed, you put it in the ground, it's like you're killing it. Right? You're burying a person, you bury him, he's dead. You take a seed, put it in the ground, it's buried, right? It says, no, the Jewish people are planted in exile, terrible. It's like we're dead, but we're not. It's like a seed planted in the ground, and that grows up. It says, Zarati li ba'oretz. It says, God said, I planted the Jewish people in the land. What is the prophecy in Hosea? Haboim Yashrish Yaakov. It's a prophecy in Isaiah. The Jewish people are planted in the ground. They're planted in exile by means of all of the deeds and the good deeds and the Torah and the commandments that we do. In exile, there comes immediately the growing up. Yatzitzu Parach Yisrael, the Jewish people will grow up and they will, and this is the true redemption by means of the Mashiach, that there's not after it any exile. That's the first of the portions we read this Shabbat. The second is Metzora. Metzora, it says in the Gemara that Metzora is the name of the Mashiach. In the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Talmud. What's the name of the Mashiach? The name of the Mashiach is he is a leper in the house of Rebbe. Like it says in Isaiah, it says that he bore our suffering and our pain. It was his pain, and because of our reckoning, he has become smitten and blighted by God and tortured. Mashiach. That's referring to the Mashiach. It's also referring to the Jewish people. In another place, it says that the Mashiach Elijah the prophet used to talk to Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and he said to him, "I want to see Mashiach." So Yeshua ben Levi, Isaiah said, Elijah the prophet said to Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he said, "You want to see Mashiach? Go to the gates of Rome. He's sitting there with all the lepers, and he's suffering. He's suffering. So it says the Mashiach is going to be called a leper that's suffering. Why? Because of the exile. And in more detail, it says this will be the law of the Metzora and the day that we refine him. That's next week's, the second half of this week. Until we read these, some people even call the second Torah portion, Metzora, they call it the section of refinement, purification. Metzora is the name of the Mashiach in the time of exile. That even though on his own he is the ultimate completion Mashiach, be totally pure, like it says, consider in another sentence in Isaiah, consider my servant elevated, high, exalted very much. Nevertheless, the Mashiach suffers the pains of himself of exile. He's together with the Jews, just like the Jews are suffering in exile. He suffers in exile also. And it says a lot of his suffering alleviates the punishment of the Jewish people. It doesn't alleviate the sins of the Jewish people. Nobody can take somebody else's sins away. You have to do it on your own. But on the other hand, if a person does do sins, and repents, God immediately forgives, if you do it genuinely. And the reason why God forgives is because a person can say, listen, the reason I sinned, God, is because you made me weak and you made me susceptible to this and you made the world very strong and very tempting and very angering and very whatever it is. So, I realized I made a mistake. And God will say, okay, I created you that you are very apt to make mistakes and good you realized it, but you have to, and immediately God forgives. But you have to do it yourself. What does Mashiach do? Mashiach just encourages. He helps everyone to repent. He helps everyone to do. But like I said before, the beginning of the class, everyone is essentially good. You just have to reveal this good. That's what Mashiach does. And the day that he is refined, this refers to when Mashiach heals himself and is healed along the Jewish people in the true redemption, as we are going to talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.